So I promised you like a short version mobility kind of session, and I've decided to go with a standing hip mobility session. So it's a short version that you can practice in between the classes. That's the idea. There's obviously the long version which you'll have access to, so if there's stuff in there that you kind of got a lot out of, like the shoulder stuff, then by all means have a play with that. This really is, there's quite a lot of balancing work in it, so it's a challenge from the perspective of being able to organise your body on one leg, which if you're a runner, it's a series of one-legged bounding movements. If you're a walker, which encompasses everybody else on the planet who walks, then you need to be able to stabilise on one leg as well. So that's kind of where this is headed. So we'll just get on with it. All right, so I'm going to, let me put that remote control down. So I'm going to choose my left leg first. I'm going to stand on my left leg, and I want to try and bring my knee up, if you can see that, if it doesn't fall over, to about 90 degrees. So just check in, you know, how's your balance at this point in time? And at some point, if you need to put your leg down or you're kind of wobbly, that's okay. That's the whole point about balance. But try not to be here. Try and keep your arms relaxed. If you do need to kind of, you know, that's okay. But at some point, we're aiming towards relaxed arms, relaxed everything really, apart from the standing leg. And you want to check in with the standing leg and make sure that as you've brought this leg up, the right leg, that you are not kind of tucking under to get that leg up here. So what tends to happen is, in order to get the leg higher, the pelvis will tuck and the knee will bend. So you kind of get this horrible, well, I'm exaggerating, but this curved shape, because that allows me to get the leg higher, right? So I want to be straight, standing leg, and nice and upright. So all that being said, standing on the left leg, straight leg, knee above 90 if we can, and we're going to lift and lower it from there. So you're going to lift and lower. Like I say, you want the movement to come from the hip flexor at the front, and you'll feel that kind of kick in straight away if you've got this right. So we're lifting and lowering just to 90 and above, 90 and above. You've got what you've got. We're going to go 3, last 2, and last 1. And then we're going to place that leg down and we're going to do the other side. So same thing, the right leg stays absolutely straight. Your spine stays lifted as you bring that leg up to 90. So I'm not collapsing to make the leg look like it's coming up higher. And then we lift and lower. Everything else staying nice and stable. The work coming in at the front of the hip. And as we work through these kind of hip movements, you might find that you feel, I don't know, like a crampy sensation in the front or deep in the hip joint, and that's okay. Yeah, that's fine. You need to come out of it and have a shake, that's fine too. So we're going to go 3, last 2, and last 1, and then release back down, and then we're switching sides. So this time, same thing, leg comes up to 90 to start with, and then if I'm looking at you straight on, we've got straight on being whatever, 12 o'clock, and then out to the side would be 3 o'clock. You want kind of that halfway mark, so 45 degrees, yeah? Same thing there, we lift and lower. And we're just changing the angle of the thigh bone in the hip socket. Just a slight variation in terms of muscles used or worked more. And also the range of motion in different angles of the hip socket. We've got 3, last 2, and last 1, and release back down. So same again, on the other side, right leg now staying locked out, left leg coming up to 90, nice and tall through the spine, 45 degrees. And again, lift and lower. Just to that 90 degrees, or maybe a bit lower. You could kind of play with how much movement you've got, doesn't matter. But we're looking for that work in the front of the hip. We're doing about 10 on each side, I'm not really counting. 3, last 2, and last 1, and place it down. And if you can't kind of figure out where this is going, we were at 45, we're now going to go out to the side. Now the thing when we go out to the side is your pelvis will want to go as well. So the idea is to get the leg out to the side without the pelvis twisting. All right, so standing on the left leg, you bring the right leg up in front, and then you take it out to the side. And it will get where it gets to. It might not be much more than the 45 degrees, and then we lift and lower there. And this is usually one, if you're going to get a crampy sensation, this is usually where it's at. Again, we're nice and straight on the left leg, and everything else stays nice and stable and solid. Literally just my thigh bone lifting and lowering that hip socket. I'm going to go 3, last 2, and last 1, and place it down, and then repeat on the other side. So standing on the right leg, left leg comes up straight in front, then out to the side, again without the pelvis following too much as best we can, and then we lift and lower there. Lots of work in the standing leg. You know, the glutes should be engaged to keep you upright. Your knee, like I say, is straight. Your ankle and your calf might be working. Your foot probably is working as well to keep you balanced. Now we go last 3, last 2, and last 1, and release it down and have a little bit of a shake out there if you need it. Not like a frog. These green palms kind of feel like the urge to. Anyway, right. What next? Arches. Yes, so rainbows. So going from front to back and back to front. So again, standing on left leg, right leg comes up in front, and then we're going to bring it out to the side. But we want to then, as it's out to the side here, you're going to bring it towards the chest first, so it comes up, then out in front and down. Not putting it down, but you've got to get that chest lift in first, so I'll lift towards the chest. So it comes up towards the chest, stays there, out, and then drops back to that 90 or just below. So up and over. It's like I'm trying to step over a big fence to the side, if you like. I'm making a rainbow with the knee, out to the side, and then back to the front. Out and over to the side, and back to the front. And this time the pelvis is moving, obviously. I'm rotating on this standing leg, which adds in an extra challenge for the balance muscles at the side of the hip. We're going to go one more, out to the side, and then all the way back. And then we're going to switch sides. Again, have a shake out if you need to in between each one. So your hips are probably going to get tired. Probably. They are going to get tired. Let's go with that. So same thing on this side. Leg comes up to the front to start with, comes out to the side, and we go from there. So you go up to the chest, around, and drops. Up towards the chest, out to the side, and lower. Like you're stepping over a big fence. Let the pelvis move. You need to put the toes down like I'm doing every now and again to get your balance back, that's fine. Last 2. Last 1. Back to the front, and then lower it down again. Have a little jiggle if you need to, wiggle it out, have a shake. So we're going to just make that bigger this time. I'm going to make that a bigger movement, and the foot's going to tap. And you want it to just tap, not kind of rest on the floor. So let's start as we did before, leg coming up in front. So I'm back to my right leg coming up. I'm going to take it out to the side, and now I'm going to tap it down at the side. Still turned out, yeah, 90 degrees-ish, depending on what range of movement you've got in your hip. But then I'm going to pick it right up, like I'm aiming for my shoulder, stepping over that fence again, coming right over, and I'm all, like I'm crossing my legs. I've gone right in front of the opposite leg. So now I've got some inner thigh work as well, and then it's coming back to the chest on that angle. You can it's still across my body, and I'm going to rotate on this standing leg all the way out over my fence and tap. So then we're going to make it flow a little bit. All right, so up and over, up and over. I'm going to stop watching the screen because it's distracting. Try to watch yourself do an exercise and stay balanced. So the biggest step over you can manage while staying nice and upright. Big, 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 big. Last couple. And last one, finish off in front. And then we repeat on the other side again. Have a jiggle if you need to just loosen things off. Big movement again. So starting off with, we're starting on the right leg now, so left leg coming up, excuse me, then out to the side. And we're going to tap it down there, and then we're going to lift so the knees coming to the shoulder. It's going to come over and in front, over that big fence, cross over the front, and then back up towards the chest, out to the side, and tap. Back to almost tapping. Let me have a look when I get back there. I'm opening that much that I'm actually tapping behind me here. Yeah, it's out to the side, but it's behind the other foot. So you'll get where you get to, but as much movement and rotation as you can manage while still staying relatively balanced and just letting it flow front to back, stepping over your giant fence. Finish off with the leg in front and have a jiggle and a rest. Oh. Okay, now I'm trying to think what I got here. Yeah. All right, knee extensions this time then. So similar thing, standing on the left leg, so start with the right leg again. Bring the leg up. Now, the higher the leg, the harder this is. So start off with it wherever and see how it feels. You stretch the leg out. So I'm just straightening my knee. I'm straightening my knee, tensing the quads and trying to keep the knee at the same level. Bending the knee, taking my heel towards my butt. But the knee isn't, it's not dropping or raising is what I'm saying. It's staying put as I bend and straighten. The straightening is obviously the easy bit. You can kind of see that it's straight, but when you bend it, how close can your heel get to your bottom? And the higher up you come, the harder it is. There's so much more work into the hip flexor and the quad at the front. So your choice, you can make it easier or harder. Remember, this leg that you're standing on is nice and straight. And we go one more. And then release, and then we're going to switch straight to the other side. So bend the knee up towards the chest. Your choice on height. Challenge yourself, and then we're bending or straightening and bending the knee. You can do these so you do all the stuff that we've done on one side and then you switch, rather than us switching from side to side between exercises. And that's a truly miserable experience. If you want to have a play with that, feel free. Last one. Straighten it out and then bend. And then we're going to do the same again on the other side, but instead of straightening, we're going to create knee circles. So leg comes up again, right leg. And this time I'm circling, you can see. My knee is staying relatively still. And I'm circling or stirring my lower leg. So if my foot was a spoon in a bowl of porridge, I'm circling with my lower leg. Now your foot will go as well, but this is not the movement, right? This is just my foot circling. If I could keep my foot relatively still, the movement is coming from, I'm trying to hide my upper leg so you can kind of see. So I'm stirring with the lower leg, it's a knee circle. And then reverse your circle. So my knee is the pivot point, my knee is staying still, but my thigh bone, as I bring the leg, so as I stir this way, my thigh bone is turning out, and as I stir out, the thigh bone is turning in, if that makes any sense. I may have to swap legs because that was exhausting to try to demonstrate that, so we'll do the other side. So again, bend the leg up towards the chest, your choice in terms of height, and then same thing, you're circling with the lower leg. So again, I'm going to bring my hand there onto the pivot point of my knee, so it hopefully demonstrates a little bit more that the movement is coming from the lower leg. If you can see my thigh bone, I'll slow this down again, it's turning in and it's turning out. But it's the lower leg that's circling. And you can reverse the circle. I don't think we did that on the other side, but you can do. And last one, and you'll be pleased to know that that's us finished for the standing on one leg part of this. The next thing we're going to do is going to come into a relatively short lunge position. So you can see my legs are hip distance apart. When I step back, I want my legs to still be hip distance apart. And you just want to be far enough back that putting the heel down is a little bit of a challenge. So my back knee, both my knees are soft, my back knee is definitely bent. And then everything's staying still. I'm just going to straighten, or I'm going to drop my heel, push my heel down towards the floor. So I'm just mobilising into the ankle to start with. So lifting and lowering at the heel. And I'm using the strength in my calf muscle to push me up. In other words, I'm not shifting my weight forward and just making it a floppy movement. Yeah, I'm actively pushing, which is why you can see it's kind of throwing me off balance a little bit, because I'm powering up. I'm trying to keep my body weight back as long as possible so that I'm actually working the calf to push me back up. And then keeping the heel lifted, you want to bend this back knee so that you can tuck the tailbone under. So I'm in this lunge position, short lunge position. You might need to go a little bit wider, but I've tucked the tail under, and now I'm not going to let this tuck go as I try and straighten my back knee. And what you should feel is this stretch or pull down the front of the leg. If you let your pelvis go at the same time and you do this with your pelvis, kind of cool dance, isn't it? You won't feel any stretch. So you've got to keep the tuck, which if you're here will give you a stretch anyway. Keep the tuck as you try and straighten that back knee. And it should be hard work to straighten. And go last one and release. And then from here, you're going to keep that tucked position. Everything stays the same. You're going to straighten that back leg out as much as you can. Then nothing else changes, right? So you've got the tuck, you've got the straight back leg-ish, straight-ish. And then you're going to open the pelvis to the side, right? So if my hip bones are pointing straight forward here, I'm going to turn them towards the camera. Everything else is staying the same. My foot's kind of, it's moving a little bit, but the work is really coming from me opening the pelvis to the side, but keeping the tuck, so it'll change the stretch sort of into the groin a little bit. You'll get a bit of a deeper sensation into the groin as you open, because the thigh bone's actually moving in the hip socket. So I'm going to twist and open, twist and open, one last time, twist and open, and then we're going to switch sides. So hip distance apart, so you don't have to worry too much about your balance. Slight bend in the knees, come this way so you can kind of see a little bit better. And then same thing here, I'm going to push the heel down to the floor, and then I'm going to push back up. Push the heel down to the floor and push myself back up. So just mobilising the foot, the toes. It's a push off action that you would have with either running or walking, for that matter. Using the power of my calves, pushing my foot down, like I'm stepping on the gas, pushing my foot down into the floor to use my calf to lift me up, stretching out over my toes, and then pressing back down, heel down into the mat. So a lot of work for the calf. And then from there, same thing, gonna curl the tailbone under. So I'm actively curling, so you're losing that curve in my lower back, which gives me a stretch into the front of this back leg. And then I'm going to try and straighten my back leg. So straighten and bend. Your pelvis will want to go as well. Yeah, you'll want to tuck and release the pelvis. You're going to keep the pelvis still so that you're actively stretching out the front of the back leg. We got 3, last 2. Last one, and then holding there, same thing, make sure you've got that tuck under, straighten the back leg as much as you can, nothing else changes now, you just, like I said, the pelvis is opening towards you in this direction. So hip bones pointing forward, you can even put your fingers on them, hip bones pointing forward, and then hip bones pointing towards you. But all the time, I'm keeping the tuck under. Turning through the pelvis, last 2, and last 1, and release. And then just, I did promise you that there was no other balance ones, but I lied. I like this one, so we're going to do this. So, okay, well, let's go standing on left leg, so you pick up the right leg. So if your right leg is forward, your left arm is forward. So it's a running action. And you're going to swing the leg, and the arm movement is to help you with your balance. Now I'm not just floppily letting the leg swing, I'm actively pressing it behind me and actively bringing it forward. Actively pressing behind and bringing it forward. And if you look at that from the side, I'm trying to keep the rest of me relatively still. as I speed that up. Yeah, I'm going to stop looking at the camera so I can actually balance. So see where you get to, and then see if you can increase the height of the knee at the front without losing the backward movement, and get it to bounce off your ribs. And then we switch sides. I'm not doing too many because I'm conscious I've got another class to teach in a minute. That's my excuse. Not that it's exhausting. So same thing, let me turn around. Standing on the right leg this time, left leg comes up, which means your right arm is forward, your left arm is back. Go back first, switch arms, come forward, and when you feel the urge, have a play with speeding it up. And you should find, well, so you will probably find that you have one side that is easier than the other. Last 3, last 2, last 1, and release. Oh, if that doesn't finish on a high note, I don't know what will. Enjoy 21 minutes of standing hip mobility.